What's up, guys? It's the phenomenal AJ Styles, and you're listening to another wrestling podcast.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
All right. Welcome to another wrestling podcast. I'm your Mark of Marks. This is episode 196.
Getting closer to that 200, bitches, aren't we?
That's right. Angry Cooter. Up. We're getting there, man. Up and away. Up into 200 episodes. You know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. We've done 200, almost 200 episodes. A lot of shit has happened within 200 episodes. You know what I mean? This isn't like recording every day. It's once a week, whenever we can. It adds up. It's been a few years now just to get to 200. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe we need to revamp, do something different. I don't know, change it up, see what the fans think out there.
I want to challenge you, Carito, to make a best of show.
It could be hard, but I don't know. I'll do my best. 200, we could have a best of show. I'll try my best to go through some of the best things on there. I think one of the biggest things I have to get on there is Zeus. Kind of just, you know, threatening John Cena on the show, and it was pretty good. I'm surprised it didn't get picked up more. But, you know, there's a lot of things have happened with the 200 episodes. Cooter, you joined halfway probably in. You worked your way up to 200. This is great. And then we had Minority Mike on there. Jonathan Benjamin going all the way back. Guys, another wrestling podcast. We've been around. We're going to still be around. But there's a lot more up our sleeve, I guess, if that's what we're saying. After 200, we're going to see what else we can do to spice things up, if you will, right?
That's right. We can't be doing the same old same. We don't want to be another recap show. We want to try some new things and maybe garner a new interest. Because, you know, shit gets stale. You know, sometimes listening to us, it's still more entertaining than Raw, but not by much, Credo. I'm getting there, though.
We're getting there.
Getting there.
You got to reinvent yourself, kids. You got to reinvent yourself every so often to stay current and just to be a little bit different, I guess, if you will. So we'll see what happens when we hit 201 and how much we've changed. But make sure you head on over to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. Check out all the shows on there. There's a lot of goodies on there. There's some hidden gems, if you will, like a stand-up with Jim Cornette from Poughkeepsie. We have that whole video of his stand-up on there. You just guys got to go find it. A lot of fun things.
Spoiler alert, we're probably not changing shit.
We're gonna have to try. We're gonna keep men of our words.
I know.
But anyway, we're getting to 200. We're gonna talk a lot about wrestling. We do have on the show today part of a new Hart Foundation, if you will. Teddy Hart is gonna be joining us on the show, Cooter.
Credo, I remember watching him a few years back. Dude, we got to thank some of these promoters, especially Eric Sims. It's no BS. It's ESS. And this guy just keeps getting us great talent. So a big shout out to Eric Sims for helping us out with this one. I cannot wait to hear what Teddy Hart has to say, man. This guy is fantastic.
That's right. ESSPromotions.com. Head on over there and check out all the talent he has coming in the next few weeks. But stay tuned for that. Cooter, we're on our way to SummerSlam. It's getting close, just a few weeks away. Just a few minute weeks away. The second biggest show, I would say, of the year, maybe, right, for WWE. We're almost there, but we're not quite there. But the build-up has been almost night and day on the main rosters, on Raw and Smackdown. Let's talk a little bit about this because
Are you looking forward to this, Credo?
They keep changing things, and I'm like, on one hand, we're going to get AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. Great.
Yes.
On the other hand, we're getting Brock Lesnar again versus Roman Reigns because God knows why. We still have to have this because the boss wants it or something like that. I don't know. This is like the fourth time they're facing each other this year or third or whatever. It just seems like it's the I don't know, the constant that never will die, something that will never go away. Just get it over with. But I'll tell you what, the build-up on Raw, Raw was Raw. It wasn't anything special. But the one thing I enjoyed on Raw was Roman Reigns saying that he'd send Brock Lesnar back to the UFC as his bitch. That was kind of funny. And also, oddly enough, we saw Brock Lesnar reading like fucking, I don't know, men's
the memes on the gram, dude. This is, like, you know me.
Whose idea? Like, okay, Brock, just go pretend you're reading this. We're gonna have you in the back. Like, no, that's not. It did not feel natural one bit.
Dude, seriously, you know me. I love making triumph out of tragedy, and just him reading a magazine, because that's what I want to see on Monday nights on a 3-hour show, is Brock Lesnar looking at a magazine. But lo and behold, you get these fucking great marks, and this is the good part about the internet wrestling community. My God, I seen him holding up Sable's Playboy, which, okay, you probably saw coming, but then somebody had the defending your title for internet, defending your title for dummies. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
Nintendo
so
Power
many...
Magazine. There's a lot of good
Yes. Oh my God.
It's just odd because you have one of the biggest names in all of sports right now, Brock Lesnar from UFC, WWE, whatnot, and you're like having him backstage reading come on, it's a 3-hour show, and this is the best we can do. There's something else that's interesting that happened with him, though we'll talk a little bit later. But I mean, on the other hand, you have SmackDown, who has possibly one of the matches everybody wants to see, which is why I think I'm surprised it's not going to be a WrestleMania match. But you have Daniel Bryan going against The Miz. I mean, this has been built up for years now, especially going back where they kind of, fought each other on Talking Smack.
Everybody talks about that segment. That's like probably one of the best things that the network has ever had. It's just this minute gem that came out of nowhere. Just real feeling coming out of Daniel Bryan being pissed off because The Miz is just such a good fucking heel, and maybe took it a little far to a guy who really can't, or at least at that time, couldn't get in the ring. This has just been building, Credo, and with Raw and SmackDown, it's a fucking night and day difference. Yeah. Raw, like, it's a 3-hour show, and I pay $12 a month for Hulu to make it a 90-minute show, and I still can't even enjoy it. Yeah. It's brutal. But I'll watch SmackDown on Hulu for that hour and 20 minutes and enjoy every single segment, to the point where the build-up for the Carmella-Becky Lynch match has me invested in it. Carmella showing better ring psychology and better fucking character development than anybody on fucking Raw. And I hate saying that because Raw's got a lot of guys that I have in the past enjoyed watching. You have a Kevin Owens, you have a Finn Balor. I was a fan of Brock Lesnar, but this now biannual showing of him, it's enough is enough, man.
I know. It's definitely, you can definitely see whose hands in what pot, if you will, of who's controlling Raw, maybe who might be controlling SmackDown. Definitely a night and day difference. Guys, let us know what you think too. Tweet us at a Wrestling POD. Let us know your thoughts about what's happening on the build-up to SummerSlam. I'm just in shock because I know we were off a week or so, but
2 weeks, Gritto, 2 weeks.
It's been a while. It's summer, baby. It's summer.
I know, and that's the thing. I mean, we gotta say we're enjoying some of these, times off. We did this last summer. We gotta recharge the batteries. But I mean, in 2 weeks that we've been gone, so much has happened, Credo.
I keep going back to the Roman Reigns thing because it's like you have an opportunity here to kind of not make Bobby Lashley better than what you kind of did with him on his return with the whole thing with Sami Zayn and his sisters, and now you have Bobby Lashley in a better kind of a spotlight. And you kind of think we're going to get a Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley, which is whatever, fine, I don't care. Hell, they should have made this a 3-way. I wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
It's I just don't understand the whole, it's got to be Roman. It's got to be Roman. You have, like you just said, too, that whole show has Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Braun Strowman, hell, even, and a few other guys, Seth Rollins. And we're still going back to Roman Reigns. I mean, we saw it at Mania. We saw it at the Greatest Royal Rumble. It's just stop already. Why? Why do we keep going back to this formula?
And not only that, Credo, what's more frustrating is the fact that on that last pay-per-view, you have the right to fucking... you're riding the ship with Bobby Lashley. Like you said, you were in that terrible program with fucking Sami Zayn. He's actually showed some personality. You let him go over Roman Reigns on fucking the pay-per-view clean, only to job him out to Reigns for when there's a title shot at stake. Because originally that pay-per-view match was supposed to be for a title shot.
Yeah, and then you have guys like Finn Balor and Kevin Owens who haven't even had a rematch for their Universal Championship yet. We're going to keep going back to Roman, and that's one of the things I think you just keep drawing people away from Raw because it's the same old show. I think I tweeted out something about, hey, it's Groundhog Day again, the little Bill Murray meme or whatever. And it's like that's what it seemed like for the past 3 weeks is like we're getting the same matches on Raw, the same. It's like they don't know what to do, or whoever's doing it just doesn't care, and they just want to finally get this Roman Reigns, get him the Universal Championship, and just call it a day. Because this is all pointing to Brock Lesnar leaving, if you ask me. But it's the Raw Roman show, and everybody's tuning into SmackDown.
Quick question for you then: the way that we keep seeing Roman Reigns in the title picture, and 9 times out of 10 main eventing every pay-per-view, are we getting force-fed Roman Reigns more than we were being force-fed Super Cena? Because I think the outrage from the fans when it came to Cena, in my opinion, wasn't as bad. People were tired of his bullshit, but Cena always found a way to add in a new move, maybe up his game, to try something new. Roman, not only is he getting crammed down your throat, he's giving you the same boring material on the mic and the same boring moveset in the ring. Do you think it's worse with him than it was John?
I think it's,
or is it just the outrage from the fans?
I think it's way worse. I think it's way worse just because of the amount of pay-per-views he's main evented. I think it was like 27 or something in a row for the champ. It's just something I'm not going to get these facts right, so I'm not going to even try to get into it. But to that effect, yes, I think there's just so much going on. And also, on the other hand, with this whole Raw thing, I'm kind of worried is that Braun Strowman has the Money in the Bank. And now Kevin Owens is wrestling him for the Money in the Bank. So now there's intrigue to where do we not want Braun to hold on to it, to give it to Kevin Owens, to where, okay, Roman wins the Universal Championship, but then do we get a cash in at SummerSlam just to, like, relieve all those pissed off fans? Because if you know they're going to boo Roman for winning, are they going to cheer Kevin Owens or Braun Strowman to cash in that night? There's some intrigue with that cash in, and I'm kind of curious where they're going. And I kind of hope they don't take it away from Braun. I want to see Braun cash it in. I don't know. What else could they have for him?
Everybody keeps talking about Kevin Owens walking out of SummerSlam as Universal Champion. To me, that would be absolutely amazing. It really would. I mean, it's a great idea. I think it's a swerve that most people wouldn't see coming. It's something different, because I think if you keep up with the Roman Reigns idea, and we finally just and the problem with that is if Roman wins the title and then gets cashed in on, he's gonna be in another fucking I gotta have my rematch clause because I was champion for all of 2 minutes. Shut the fuck up and go back to fucking NXT and learn how to cut a promo, you bitch. Seriously.
Roman's at that point in his career where he honestly doesn't need to be champion. I mean, he's been champion, whatever, every kind of champion there was, IC champion, tag team champion, whatever, to where, I don't know, he just doesn't need it. I think right now he just needs to put some guys over. I'm not saying he's a vet. I'm not saying he's a legend. I'm just saying he can take the back seat for a little bit. It's not going to hurt him, kind of a thing.
Credo, put him on the fucking list. I dare you. Put him on the list.
We'll put him on the list if he wins. We'll see what happens. But even with SmackDown, though, just touching on briefly, you have Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, the Randy Orton heel, which we all want to see.
Yes.
Turning up turning up. I don't know.
Turning back the clock.
Turning back the clock. That's it.
That's what you're looking for, girl. There we go.
I am kind of not upset, but Charlotte Flair now in the mix for the Women's Championship on there with Carmella and Becky Lynch. So
you're not okay with that?
If Becky Lynch wins, I feel like they've kind of pushed her to the side to where she's one of the 4 horsewomen kind of things, and I think she does need something going on for her. And I mean, Charlotte Flair, we don't need to see Charlotte win the championship again at SummerSlam, but I think having her in the match will probably be beneficial for Carmella to kind of hide some of the rusty spots, if you will. But at the same time, I don't think it should go to Charlotte. I think Becky Lynch really needs this one at SummerSlam. She needs something to elevate her. She's definitely been I don't know. I think she'd be a great champion. She's been
the workhorse of that division since its inception. Always working her way through everybody. And I'm glad you made mention of kind of hiding Carmella's flaws, because when you have 2 good workers in a triple threat, that that sneaky ass heel is going to come in while those two are doing the work and just steal the win somehow, which always makes for like a great screw job finish. So I mean, I'm really am okay with Charlotte being in the match, and I tend to agree with you. Charlotte is another one who doesn't need the belt right now, if ever again. I mean, I hate saying it, Credo, because I know how much you love, putting a title around her waist, bro.
Well, we'll definitely talk about SummerSlam. It's going to be in a few weeks, but the build-up has definitely been unique, if you will, on Raw and SmackDown, so we'll see what happens. But Cooter, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world of pro wrestling. Let's just get right into the week that was, shall we? Starting the week with some sad news, we had some wrestlers who passed away. Nikolai Volkov, Brickhouse Brown, and Brian Christopher. I think the most controversial death was Brian Christopher's because he was found in a jail cell hanging, in which they brought him to the hospital, and Jerry Lawler was able to fly down and see his son before they kind of took him off life support, if you will. So, kind of an odd story. I mean, he's had a rough year, Brian Christopher. I think earlier this year, he was in a fight with Chase Stevens that left him in a bloody mess. He was pulled over for DUIs. He got pulled over for this, was thrown in jail, and I think X-Pac tweeted it to where he was kind of put in like solitary confinement or something to that effect. I don't know if that's 100%. I just saw some news going around, but I don't know what happened, man. And I'll tell you what, it's crazy because what was going on in Brian Christopher's life to where you're going to hang yourself over like a DUI, and I'm not judging, I'm not saying anything, but I mean, I'm like, did something else happen? What happened? It always makes me wonder what happened.
Don't join the rest of the internet wrestling community. This is the part about them I hate. Here come the conspiracy theories.
I know, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but it's just, man, I feel like it's not like, okay, he was arrested for killing somebody, so then he killed himself. It's like he got a DWI, then he hung himself. I mean, I guess everybody's got their demons, and we don't really know how bad everybody's doing. So, unfortunate news, though. Sad that Brian Christopher took his life. I remember seeing him live. I was at the D-Generation X pay-per-view, and he fought for the inaugural light heavyweight championship against what's his name? Taka
Michinoku.
Remember that live, and I kind of wanted Brian Christopher to win. I was kind of upset that Taka won, no surprise. But not to make light of the situation.
Oh, you're such a racist!
I wanted Brian Christopher to win.
You just didn't want Taka Michinoku to win because he's Japanese.
Only another wrestling podcast can turn a death into a racist joke. I don't know what happened with that one, but we'll see.
Oh, God.
No, our condolences go out to Jerry Lawler, his family, because I'm sure, nobody thought that was going to happen after just being arrested for a DWI. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy news.
It's no parent should ever have to bury their child. That's got to be the worst feeling ever in the world. So I agree with you there. Our condolences to everybody. And with Nikolai Volkov, I mean, that one hit me hard because obviously you always think about, their families first. But when I saw it on Twitter, the way I found out was the Sheik, Iron Sheik's tweet. And that just crushed me, dude, because that was his boy. I mean, your road buddy for how many years? And I got emotional, and I'm like, I've kind of become numb to a lot of these passings because, we've had so many. I mean, Jesus, I don't even think it's a month and Vader passed. It's just nonstop. But that one really hit me because, and I don't know if it's because I'm just such a Sheik mark and like I thought of him and that's how I found out. But I mean, that's got to be equally, tragic feeling, I mean, somebody who you're so close to for that long. I mean, condolences to everybody, man. Seriously, it's just, I don't know. That's the first time I've ever gotten emotional really over a death.
No, yeah, it's been a crazy week. And like I said, it's not like, for in Brian Christopher's, example to where he didn't just die. Like, he killed himself. So
why didn't you say anything nice about Brickhouse, bro?
I don't know anything about Brickhouse. I don't know.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know anything. I don't ever watched him. I never really had a connection.
Yeah.
But I know that he
I hate
died. So,
saying
but
that.
rest in peace.
Yes.
Rest in peace. I'm sorry to all of them, and condolences out to them. I know we're not trying to make light of the situation, but it's one way to cope with death, and just making a few little lighthearted jokes, I guess. But anyway, crazy week, man, for that. It's crazy how, upside down the world can get in a matter of a few days. But, we talked a little bit about Heyman and Lesnar. What was interesting on Raw was that, are they just completely ending it to where now I'm thinking that Lesnar is going back to the UFC, to where they're breaking up Lesnar and Heyman. Is it too soon? Should this have waited till like after the match, kind of a thing, or what are your thoughts on this? I mean, is it good? I thought Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman were like, the perfect match. Why break it up? Even if he's going to UFC, have them next to each other. He can leave and lose and go on to the UFC and whatever, come back. But why break up this moment? I don't know.
I think it's something to really set up a future program of somebody. Because I don't think Brock is done in the WWE by any stretch of the imagination. And I think I think it was a good idea because of the fact that we haven't seen Brock Lesnar on TV, and we made him look like this piece of shit who just doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself. I mean, he was defending your title for dummies on Raw, not giving a fuck, Rito. Huh. So I mean, it made not just the backstage segments, but the last segment on Raw, I don't want to say good, but watchable. Yeah. Because there's this moment of intrigue, like, are we gonna have Paul Heyman possibly pull a screw job and maybe try to salvage a job with WWE and help with a new champion? Or maybe even manage, like, say, a Kevin Owens and, like, just throw a giant swerve somebody's way.
Yeah.
And I think that would be great because then you could have Brock go away for a little while, have him do his training, let him go fight for the UFC title, and then just let him show up on Raw one night, out of nowhere, if he's still under the contract. Because, let's be honest, I don't think anybody knows what his fucking contract is or what's going on. But if you leave that little hint of, all right, what the fuck is going to happen because everyone's going to hate the match. Let's just fast forward the match right to the end just to see what the fuck happens.
Yeah. Well, I do want to bring up a point to where a few years ago, I don't know if this was when Brock was gone or what, I forget the exact details, but I do remember that Cesaro was a Paul Heyman guy. And I do remember that one of the B team members was a Paul Heyman guy. And I remember them trying to give Paul Heyman kind of other guys to get a little bit of that rub, if you will, off of Heyman, of who he's managing. And it didn't work out. I mean, I think those guys lasted probably like 2 weeks as Paul Heyman guys. And
I think the guys that they picked were terrible.
Yeah.
There's only two people, and the most recent incarnations with him where he was good with. One was Brock, obviously, and the other one was CM Punk.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Punk was not the guy who needed a mouthpiece like Heyman, but he just, gave that character that much more of a, an oomph behind him. I really enjoyed him with CM Punk. I could see him with a guy like maybe a Kevin Owens. Hell, I could see him with a guy like Finn Balor.
How about a Roman Reigns?
How about you go fuck yourself? How about you
This is what I get.
Dick?
This is what I get. Trying to stir that pot. You can't do that with Angry
I'm
Cooter.
putting you on your own fucking list, asshole. Yeah, well, you know what? That's probably not the worst idea since, Bobby Lashley cuts better promos than Roman Reigns. Now, you suck a big dick if Bobby's cutting better promos for you. This is the guy who had MVP cutting promos for him in Impact, and he's making you look bad, Roman. Yeah, we better get you Paul.
There you go. Well, I'm kind of curious where they're going with it. I still think it's funny because I don't hate Lesnar. I still think it's funny what they're doing. I mean, I'm not like, oh man, I hate Lesnar now that he's not around. The way they were kind of poking fun of it, I was like, well, I still don't kind of hate it because you know what? I think the magazine that he was reading was The Backwoodsman is probably more over than Roman Reigns right now, no matter how much they try to make Brock look like the asshole. I don't know if you're not on the Roman train by now. I don't think you're gonna get on the train by now. You know what I mean? You're still just gonna watch it, let it pass you. But I don't know. Vince is still adamant about making this happen. I don't know.
Let's just be honest, Credo. You've heard me say this a million times. You know, he's a victim of the Daniel Bryan not being in the Rumble that year, and Batista winning the Rumble, and the fans cheered for Roman to win, even though he was a heel, because they wanted anybody but Batista to win.
Yep.
If they would have let Roman win that year over Dave Batista, we would not be having this conversation.
Wow, that's a good.
I really feel that way because they cheered him in the Rumble. The fans got somebody other than Dave Batista when they didn't get Daniel Bryan, and maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation, bro.
Well, happen to your DeLoreans and go back in time, because that would be the moment where you could change pro wrestling history.
Get a banana peel. We got to fill the flex capacitor, motherfucker.
Cooter, some kind of interesting news. Matt Riddle could be WWE bound. We saw Matt not too long ago at some Northeast Wrestling shows. Former UFC fighter. I don't think not as big of a guy as a Brock Lesnar, but still an awesome fighter.
And a major pothead.
A major pothead. Nothing wrong with that. But I still, this is. I think about Cody Rhodes when I see him and what he comes out to, because he has no knee pads and he has no boots. I don't know how long that's going to last. Like, do you think him going barefoot like that is going to last that long? I don't know. I don't know.
You think he's the only guy who went to the ring barefoot?
Well,
Come on, man. I could think of a plethora.
I remember Cody Rhodes.
We could go back to Kevin Von Erich. We could talk about fucking not Rikishi. Well, no, Rusev. Rusev used to come out barefoot. Who was the Samoan there?
True.
Umaga used to come out barefoot. They've had a lot of guys over the years come to the ring with them big, fat, fucking ugly, hairy feet of theirs, stinking up the fucking ring mat with the fucking toe jam all over the place.
Well, that is a good point. I didn't think about those guys. But,
a lot of guys, bro.
I remember Cody Rhodes for the longest time wouldn't wear knee pads, and it was funny because it made him look like he had skinny legs. And it was just one of those things when you watched him in the ring, like he was one of the guys that he just had boots, didn't wear no knee pads, and he was one of the only guys that weren't wearing any knee pads at all. And it was just like he looked silly for the longest time. And then after a while, he finally started wearing knee pads. And it's one of those things to where I wonder if he could adapt if they kind of dress Matt Riddle up. We'll see what happens. But
that's funny too when you talk about Cody Rhodes that way. You know who else I think of? Is that guy from Mustache Mountain there?
Yep, yeah, Tyler.
Tyler Bate. Yeah, my God, and it's funny because he's a very small dude. I think he could be on 205 Live for Christ's sake, but he's got these fucking massive tree trunks for legs, but they still look tiny because I'm used to seeing those guys in the fucking knee pads.
Yeah.
It's so weird, dude. Wow.
I don't know. What do you guys think about the knee pad situation for Matt Riddle? But I think word has it he could possibly show up SummerSlam weekend for NXT Brooklyn. So we'll see about that. Now, Cooter, I came across this article, and I don't really know how to put it. I think it's kind of like a what the fuck of the week, a WTF. Now, hear me out. I came across this, and it said, Droz and D-Lo Brown, quote, first time ever, quote, dual photo opportunity announced. Now, this is happening at the Boardwalk Beatdown Pro Wrestling Experience for standalone wrestling. Now, let me just read what they have to advertise this. It says, former WWE star Droz was paralyzed in 1999 during a match against D-Lo Brown, but he's clearly not holding a grudge, as the wrestlers will soon take part in their first dual meet and greet. It may sound surprising since you wouldn't think many fans would want to pay money to take a picture that reminds them of one of the worst in-ring accidents of all time. But alas, company in New Jersey, Standalone Wrestling, shared that advertisement on Facebook. First time ever photo op, only at Boardwalk Beatdown, D-Lo and Droz. Cooter, this is like having a photo opportunity with Chris Benoit at Toys R Us. I mean, it's no offense to Droz, man. You had a serious situation that fucked up your neck and paralyzed you for the rest of your life. Why the fuck am I going to want a photo op with you and the guy who paralyzed you? That's some sick fucking, shit, right? It's like
I wish that this was video, because this is literally the first time hearing of this. is you telling me right now, I wish the fans could see my face right now. I don't know whether to be mad and outraged, sad, or laugh my fucking ass off. Because literally, that is some funny, fucked up, sad shit.
It's crazy, man, because it's like, no, and it's like, it has nothing to do with that he's paralyzed, but it's like, hi, I'm getting a picture with the guy who paralyzed this guy, and I'm in the middle. Like, what do you? It's too weird for me. I don't know. It's,
bro.
What do you?
Wow.
Yeah, now you see why I say it's like a Chris Benoit meet and greet at like a toy store or some shit
It's
like that.
Really bad taste. It really is. It's like, hey, Droz, how you been? How's your neck? You can't say anything if you're him. Like, it's the fact that D-Lo doing this to maybe help put some money in Droz's pocket, then I could see, if he has good intentions behind it, even though it's how they're doing it is really fucked up. But oh my god! All right, can we just move on?
I just want to say, lastly, in the replies of the announcement, SAW, the wrestling promotion, standalone wrestling, said a joke from a fan inspired the wrestlers to take part in the shoot. Quote, the talents are choosing to do this. They wrote to a fan pointing out the dark nature of the photo opportunity, and they said it's a beautiful thing that such a sad situation can be moved on from. But hey, you must know everything, right? So apparently they're doing this because some fan fucking wrote some, like, hey, have a photo opportunity with, Droz and D-Lo, and they're fucking doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it, and then at the same time saying, yeah, give me $30. Like, serious, this is just bad taste. I don't know. If they're okay with it and they want to do it, I get it. But to me, it's kind of bad taste.
It's weird.
And I get what you're trying. It is weird. That you could say, you know it all. I don't know it all, but I know how it makes me feel, and it just doesn't make me feel very good.
Anyway, in a cryptic tweet online, Matt Hardy took to Twitter. A little bit of a mysterious message now. It says, to all that supported me in the Independence and Omega, to the fans of Team Extreme, to the Mattitude followers, to the outspoken fans who brought me back in 2005, and to the people who backed me when I was reincarnated in pro wrestling, to the Woken Warriors, thank you. And it's a picture of him waving to the crowd. I don't know. It's weird. I found this article. It said, let's see. We've noted how Matt has made several cryptic tweets this summer, possibly teasing the end of the Leaders of the World or a reunion of the Hardys with brother Jeff Hardy. Today's tweet, which gives thanks to fans for supporting him, comes after Hardy spent the weekend posting several career photos from over the years. It's worth noting that Hardy has been on a bit of a TV losing streak as of late. Also, he lost to Curtis Axel on the June 25th and July 2nd Raw episodes, and then lost to Bo Dallas on July 9th. The title change came at July 15th Extreme Rules, and but Wyatt and Hardy also lost a rematch to the B Team on the July 23rd Raw. So a little downhill slope for them, and I don't know, Cooter, do you think this tweet means the end of Matt Hardy in WWE, or I don't know?
I would say so. I think it's time. They haven't done a very...
His broken thing kind of like went up. They never really did anything good for it, right?
Yeah, it fell flat. It wasn't this exciting thing that it was on the indies. The fans know the chance because they think it's cool, not because they're fans of the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you look at the Hardys' last 2 years here, Matt's claim to fame was to come back at WrestleMania after having a ladder match with the Young Bucks fucking a day earlier, and him the fans chanting delete. Him doing that match with Bray Wyatt like the way they used to do it in TNA when they had that. What the fuck was that? You know what I'm talking about. They went to the Hardy compound and all.
Yeah.
Like, that was probably the best moment. And once that aired, I knew that was the best we were going to get, and we weren't going to get anything better. They weren't going to do another you know.
Yeah, poor Bray Wyatt in all this too, and poor Matt Hardy. Maybe he's taking a little bit of a break, rehab a little bit, come back strong somewhere down the line. But I think of this as like their Hall of Fame run, because like the Dudleys came back, did a little run. They never got the tag team championships. They left, and then they got into the Hall of Fame. I mean, Matt Hardy's up there. His body, I mean, you watch him limp to the ring every day, and it's like, he's broken, literally, inside. So Jeff Hardy's still going strong, kind of. But I don't know. Maybe...
He's on a losing streak, too, though, Credo. I mean, you just took the strap off of him, put it on Nakamura. You had him job twice to Nakamura. You had him get his ass kicked by Randy Orton, who, is not much younger than Jeff Hardy. So, we're starting to see a change in the guard. Some of these veterans,
not lasting
and it's
anymore.
And I'm okay with it because they have such an abundance of talent. But here's the problem: I love NXT. It's my favorite show of the week. To me, it sucks seeing these guys leave this great show and just get put onto Monday Night Raw. SmackDown, I have a little bit of faith. Like, I see Selena Vega and fucking Andrade Cien Almas, the other one. I have hopes for these guys because they use them properly. I'm going to take a cheap shot at somebody out of nowhere.
All right.
This cheap shot is at Mike Colon.
All right.
Minority Mike. Because the sleeper draft pick of Monday Night Raw in the shakeup, Chad Gable. And where's he been, motherfucker? I told you that one was going to be like a fart in church, you motherfucker. How about that shit?
There you go.
Oh, great. They're going to do so much with Chad Gable. Sure they are, Mike. Good call, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know why that just came in there, but I wanted to say it while I still could.
For sure. Well, we'll see what happens with the Hardys and Matt Hardy, see what happens if he's really broken or if he's done, or maybe it's just time to take a break and revamp himself. I don't know. But, we're a few weeks away, too, from the Mae Young Classic 2.0, whatever you want to call it. Cooter, have you seen some of the names for this? We got Madison Rayne in this competition. Deonna Purrazzo, she's going to go very far. Some other ones, we got some returning ones. Mia Yim. I'm trying to look down the list. Toni Storm from last year. I could see her winning it.
Oh, yeah, that's my baby right there. Mercedes Martinez, we know how much you loved her last year. I think she's a return.
Yep. Karen Q from Ring of Honor. We've seen her up here in the Northeast. A few other new names, but I'm still like... got these a little bit of scattered names, but I feel like it's missing somebody. Like, I don't know who Ginny is.
Your girlfriend isn't in it this year, it doesn't look like.
Who's that?
Who's that big girl?
Why am I going to get the big girls?
Because I know you like the big girls, bro. It's okay. But I'm not a hater.
But some of these
what was
names,
her name?
I don't remember.
Because they changed it. She's that British chick, but they changed her name for the tournament.
Is that the girl? She was out too. She was like, she was supposed to have a contract with WWE, and then something happened with her. She couldn't
Miss Viper. She goes on the Indies.
Yeah, something happened to her. But I mean, some of these names, I feel like Tegan Knox, I don't know. Kavita Devi, I don't know. Killer Kelly, I don't know.
How come Tessa Blanchard isn't on this list?
She just signed with TNA, that's why. Because she was.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Because she was butthurt that WWE didn't sign her after last year's Mae Young Classic, so she signed right away with Impact Wrestling. Good career move. Because they didn't sign you.
It's better than not having a paycheck, Rito.
I hear you. But I mean, one of the biggest names in WWE, like a name, like a legacy name, Blanchard, right? Or to where you're gonna get that hurt and just I don't know. And especially when your boyfriend's in NXT, you're just gonna not hold off just a little bit longer. She could have been in this and probably done a lot more than that. But I don't know. Are you excited?
Who's your boyfriend?
Ricochet, baby.
Oh, you know who I thought? You know what I thought it was? No, but I always get it mixed up because isn't Selena Vega with Austin Aries?
Yes.
That's right. I always get those.
How much longer? I don't know.
Yeah, the road can be eating his own banana for a while. He's got to refill his potassium levels in Impact Wrestling.
The road is brutal. But anyway, Mae Young Classic 2 is happening It takes place on August 8th, next week, and August 9th from Full Sail University. So the finals are going to happen at that Evolution pay-per-view, too, the all-women pay-per-view, Cooter, which we never really talked about since we were off. Really quick, lastly, what are your thoughts about this Evolution pay-per-view, all women all the time? I don't know. Do you think the women can outshine the men? I don't know. Is it about time or what?
You know, I heard something that Jim Ross said on his podcast where he talks about how the girls are more active on social media. They try harder on TV. It's like they're more invested in their careers, and I'm paraphrasing here, than the men are. And if you watch, especially the last few years, I mean, he's right. So the girls, whether the crowd pops for them or not, if you mute the sound on your TV in any crowd and you just watch the match for what it is, a lot of times the women are working harder than the guys. The matches are a lot of times better than the guys because they care. Because they know they have to work that much harder to try to get the crowd to cheer them. Because, you know, back in the days we had the Divas, Credo.
Yep.
When the Divas came on TV, I went to go take a shit. Now I'm like, you know what? I go and take a shit when Roman Reigns comes out. That's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. You know, it's going to be interesting, but the women, they don't have... Well, they're going to have the Raw Women's Championship. They're going to have the SmackDown Women's Championship. They're going to have the finals for the Mae Young Classic on this. They've kind of been building tag teams on Raw with Bayley and the Boss to where it's almost like, okay, we're going to get Women's Tag Team Championship soon because now you're kind of like making tag teams out of these girls. But the girls have no like mid-card title. They only have the main championships, and that's it. There's no tag team championships, which would make sense since they have a lot of women on there right now. But do you think they need like a mid-card title or no?
You know, I really...
And if so, what the hell would you give them? What would you call it? I'm trying to think about this. I don't know. Like, because you got the Intercontinental, you got the United States. What would be like a mid-card title for women?
Oh, I'm not even touching this one. I'm not going, because if I say,
well, let us know your ideas.
The Mexico Women's Championship, Credo's gonna have a shit fit
because not one Mexican's gonna win it. It's gonna be some Ireland, Becky Lynch winning the Mexican Women's Championship. Well, they are gonna have a UK Women's Championship on the new UK show and UK titles and all that stuff. But it's interesting. Do the women need like a mid-card championship, or will tag team championships be enough? I don't know. It's still in the early phases.
You want to? If I were running WWE, I would completely change everything. I would be the biggest piece of shit ever because I would follow NXT's blueprint to the T on every show. I would give the women their own show because I think people would watch it because the women work harder.
We're going to have a whole full week of wrestling, Cooter. We're going to have Raw, SmackDown, NXT,
Dude, I'm
Evolution.
okay with it because you know why? I don't have to watch every show. I've gotten to a point now where like I watch highlights of Raw and SmackDown, and for the most part, the shows that I watch religiously, NXT and 205 Live. I've been saying it for weeks. And I think if the women had their own show, I would probably watch that as well. Here's the thing. People compare NXT to the main roster and why are the matches on the pay-per-view so much better? Well, because these guys aren't working every week. But we have these huge rosters. So why aren't we letting half the roster work for a month and then the other half of the roster work the next month and give these guys like a break? Just keep them like we didn't have Rusev in a match this week on SmackDown. He was in a backstage segment.
Yep.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, These guys are going to be on your next pay-per-view, so we're going to let them work up to the pay-per-view. And then they can go balls to the wall and have these great matches. Because unless they're like a champion, they're not working, matches for the next couple of weeks. Because we have other guys that we want to feature. Because that's what's great about NXT. You're not seeing the same guys every week.
No.
And you can do that with a women's show. Give them an hour, 90 minutes. It would be fantastic. 205 Live is the best hour of television live. NXT, fucking, even though it's a tape show, and I'm the man at avoiding All spoilers, bitches. Unless you got my phone number and you're texting me shit, I won't find out.
Guys,
yeah.
Well, guys, Angry Cooter's phone number is 84. No.
Fuck you, Frito.
No giving away numbers. All right. Well, guys, we talked a lot about wrestling. It's because we've been going for 2 weeks. But we're here right now, and we have Teddy Hart joining us right now. All right, joining me today is a wrestler who is a part of the legendary Hart family. Teddy Hart is here today. Teddy, man, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. And for everybody listening out there, I want to remind them on August 11th for Warriors of Wrestling, you'll be appearing with ESS Promotions, ESSpromotions.com. You're going to be fighting somebody that you know very well, Davey Boy Smith versus you, down at St. Finbar's Catholic Church in Brooklyn. What do you have to say for the fans maybe coming out there on August 11th, and what can they expect from Teddy Hart?
Well, obviously, I pride myself on being one of the hardest working independent wrestlers in the world, and try to come up with different moves and be very innovative and continue to try to keep my family name alive. It's a lot of pressure being part of the Hart family and following in the footsteps of some of the greatest wrestlers potentially ever: Dynamite Kid, Davey Boy Smith, Owen Hart, Bret the Hitman Hart, Brian Pillman, and Chris Benoit, and guys like that all came from the Dungeon, Jericho. And Harry Smith, or Davey Boy Smith Jr., he's phenomenal. I think probably the best big guy maybe in the world, and potentially underrated a little bit. But I think now that people are getting to see him in Japan and in North America more, I felt the WWE, sometimes they take really good care of guys and great character stuff, and they know how to build a star. For whatever reasons, things didn't work out with Harry there, and potentially he got a second chance to kind of redo his career in Japan. And I know he's been training really hard for all independent bookings. He's a workhorse, and we've worked each other a couple times in Calgary, had great matches. I think this will be a 5-star match, and that anyone that bought a ticket will want to see this match again. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it brings back memories of Davey versus Bret and Wembley, and some of the fans that are into the nostalgia value of the second or third generation guys coming up will see that we've taken this business very seriously, and the training of coming out and being better than what our uncles were, or the evolution of what they did. And I think that speaks volumes of the type of person that I am and that Harry is. We both consider ourselves, I would think some of the longest. I've been wrestling since I was 15. Harry's been wrestling since he was 8 or 9 years old. So we've been doing this a long time, and we really take it seriously that fans are going to spend their time and money to come to watch a match, and they want to walk away satisfied, happy, and with that smile and that feeling that they got their money's worth. And that's something I've talked about for years, and want to make sure fans understand. Watch me on YouTube and watch the Teddy Hart highlight videos and the top 50 moves if you don't know who I am already. And just try to study some of the stuff I've done, and I think of myself as one of the most innovative wrestlers ever. I think I've invented the most moves in wrestling history, and that's one of the things I maybe I was never a WWE champion or on TV much in North America, but did well in Mexico, and a very hard market to do well in. And Jack Evans and I went over there, and we're back there now. I'm working for AAA again, and MLW. I'm also working for them now in the States, and Harry Smith is my partner, or Davey Boy Smith Jr. is my partner in MLW. So it's nice to team up with him, but when he gets in the ring with me, I hope he understands this is going to be a real serious fight and a battle for the reputation of who's the best in our family, which is a big thing. No, yeah, definitely. Now, also, you were away for a little bit, but you made a comeback last October at the age of 37. How has your return been? You've been incredible. I've seen you all over MLW recently, too, fighting John Morrison and a lot of other guys. But how has it been for you coming back, and how has it felt? It's been amazing. The fans have really taken kindly to me coming back and got behind me, and seems like promoters are giving me a chance now, and a reputation I created, some of it on my own, a lot of it through just, I think, bad press, that I was difficult to work with, or maybe a Ring of Honor incident affected certain things for way too long. I think people are getting to see me for what I am now, which is, I say one of the hardest working wrestlers in the world. and someone that really takes the fans seriously for their time and sacrifice and the effort they spend trying to get to shows and support this business. And I don't think you ever seen Teddy Hart have a bad match or mail it in. And that'll be the same thing for this show and any other show that I'm booked on. Just happy my body's holding up. I'm a bit sore. My back's a bit sore. I haven't worked this many matches in a long time. I was off for a couple of years due to different things, marriage, divorce. I was in jail for a little while, and luckily those charges were dropped, or I beat them. So thank God things actually panned out there. It was a scary couple of years because I was facing some serious jail time for shit I never did, but you can't say that until it's proven. And thank God I was acquitted of all charges, and now allowed to wrestle again and live my dream and try to get back to maybe, you never know if the WWE is a place I'll get to someday. It's a dream. I'd always want to be there, and it's a great company, and they've taken phenomenal care of a lot of guys, and I hope to maybe be a guy that someday they could look at and go, maybe we could give this guy a chance. And it's a little late in his career, but maybe the last 5 years of my life I get to be, or my wrestling life, I get to be on that type of TV show. But in the meantime, I got MLW right now, which is phenomenal, and it's national TV, and I get to wrestle a lot of really good guys there. And some of the indie promotions like Limitless, I did their promotion for a while, has had great success. Did some AAW stuff in Chicago and seemed to do well there. And GCW's got a phenomenal fan base, and they've been pretty good about getting me back onto their shows now. So just I'm in Los Angeles this Saturday. I'm in AAA Sunday, and then back and forth. I just did the Gathering for the Insane Clown Posse. That was my first time ever doing that show, and that was really neat. Getting to see the different types of fans out there and how big wrestling really is and how much the sport's grown independently, because independents are something like, you don't know where you're going to go and how the fans are going to react to you, or how the fans are going to even react to coming, or if they're going to come or not. And it seems like the fan base is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and social media is helping people get their message out there, and fans can interact with the wrestlers a lot more. And I think that's the important thing, is we're trying to keep our fans happy and take their minds off the stress of being human and having a responsibility of, paying your bills and your mortgage and your job and kids and stress and school and all this different things that go with, the 9 to 5 work schedule of people. Most people that are out there are working a 9 to 5 job and working very hard to make money. And the last thing in the world you want to do is spend your money on crap. And if the wrestling show is good, then people walk away satisfied. And that's how you keep fans coming back, is by running a great show and bringing in good guys. And a lot of these promoters are really working hard and spending a lot of money to try to replicate that business plan or business model of WWE. And I pride all the wrestling promoters out there for taking a chance, and especially taking a chance on Teddy Hart.
Definitely. Now, you've also been commented on being, like you said too earlier, one of the most innovative wrestlers today. Everywhere I go, everywhere I read, that's what people are saying about you. How does it feel to live up to that as being one of the most innovative guys out there today?
Just watching the great guys like Shawn Michaels and Rey Mysterio Jr. and Dean Malenko and Fit Finlay and Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask, and trying to do what they did but change it a little bit, and study the gymnastics end of wrestling and the dancing end of things, where it's a choreographed sport, and people, I think, understand Santa Claus isn't real, and that wrestling it's an art, and the job is to make it look like it hurts you, but not to hurt you at all. And I pride myself on doing all these crazy moves and innovative stuff, but never injuring anybody in wrestling yet. I've never hurt a guy in the ring ever, and I take great pride in that. And Brett always took pride in that. And the Harts in general, I think, are one of the families that really take this sport seriously as a sport and as not just a show. It's both, and it's a combination of the right charisma and the right character and the right mic skills and the work ethic to get to the gym and try to have a body that definitely shows people that you're going to the gym and you're eating right and you're training hard, and being reliable and showing up for these shows on a weekly basis has been really tough. You don't realize the amount of work the WWE guys do with that schedule until you start doing it yourself. And I take my hat off to Vince McMahon and the WWE guys in general, because they have the hardest schedule in the world. And thank God for wrestling fans also for how much money and time they're willing to spend watching all these different promotions, because there's a lot of promotions out there now, and being booked steadily for the last, say, 7 months or 8 months, trying to come up with new stuff and make sure fans understand the pressure of being a Hart, but also it either makes you or breaks you. And I want it to be one of those guys that it makes, it doesn't break. And that's just a continuing mission every week to get to the gym. And I'm about to go to the gym now, and I'm back from Mexico. Like I said, this is my second show in Mexico in the last 6 months. I've been now working for AAA again, which is really cool because they're I think they're the second biggest TV show in the world for wrestling, and definitely for drawing people. I think they're the second biggest company for straight numbers of people they draw and shows they run every year. So it's nice to be back with them, and Conan definitely helped me get my foot back in the door and write the stories and make sure me and Jack are taken care of, and we get some good matches down there. It's been really cool. And again, just going back to the being innovative and the pressure of being one of those guys, I take great pride in being that guy, and that fans can count on me and come up to me after the show and they go, man, it was nice to see that you did all that crazy stuff, and that even though you're getting older, you're getting better, and your timing's still there. And it's a testimony to the training from the dungeon in the first place. And again, they'll see that with me and Harry, I think, when they watch us wrestle this next show, just how much training and time went into being a great wrestler. It's not a joke. It's a very difficult sport. There's no rules, and there's no schedule harder than a professional wrestling schedule. And again, we don't have healthcare or dental or any insurance and stuff like that. So a lot of that stuff you do it's very risky. And the reward is the fans clapping and smiling and wanting an autograph and saying, please come back, and that they appreciate it and you deserve it. And like, again, this is a deal I made with the fans a long time ago, that Teddy Hart would try to never have a bad match, and I'd always try to come in shape and make sure they walk away happy. And that's the best thing I can do, is try to make sure at the end of the show I can spend 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes talking to the fans after the show, and they get to tell me their feedback.
Owen Hart in the Hall of Fame. That's been a big controversy over the past few years. I know Brett said something about it this year too. Mark Henry at this year's Hall of Fame speech, pleaded to get him in the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts maybe on Owen Hart not in the Hall of Fame yet, and maybe about having his wife allow the WWE to let him in there for the fans?
I really hope that his wife becomes more flexible with the idea of him getting in there. I think it's a big deal. Owen definitely should have been in the Hall of Fame. I think Davey Boy should have been in the Hall of Fame, and potentially Dynamite Kid and Jim Neidhart. I've seen guys in the Hall of Fame that I think were worthy candidates, but I don't think you could say that one deserved it more than the other deserved it. And I think that the Hart Foundation, if Brett got in, then Jim should get in too, and that if Owen Hart is a guy that is not allowed in the Hall of Fame because of his wife, I wish there was a way of circumventing her and bringing him in anyway, because you can only say it's your husband for so long when it's not about your husband or the marriage. It's about the fans and the relationship Owen had with the people, and it has nothing to do with her, in my opinion. She's a widow, and she suffered greatly for what happened, and she was also compensated greatly for the loss of his, and obviously money's not going to bring him back, but that's the only thing the WWE could do, which was what they did, which is they covered all the expenses of what they said they would do, and they covered the lawsuit, and they're trying to play ball and show good colors and be a respectful company by bringing Owen Hart in. I think they want him in there, and they did a good video of him, and I think maybe just with some more time passing, that sooner or later something's got to give, and that they bring Owen Hart into the Hall of Fame. I definitely think he's one of the greatest wrestlers ever. And I hate to say it, I wish Chris Benoit would get a chance too. I know he had a terrible ending to his life, but people have made some serious mistakes, and I think we're all human, and I think the wrestling fans are probably the most forgiving fans in the world, and there's been a lot of crazy stuff that happens with wrestlers due to concussions and head injuries and the travel schedule and the stress and the breaking down of our bodies and trying to stay on TV and maintain a certain character, and the pressure sometimes cause bad things to happen, and that was one of the cases where it was a really bad thing happened there. But I don't think people forget that he was one of the greatest wrestlers to ever step foot in the ring, and came from our family, and maybe down the road even someone like Chris Benoit will get an opportunity to be in the Hall of Fame. But I think absolutely Owen Hart should be hands down there, and I think Davey Boy Smith should be in the Hall of Fame also. And if down the road maybe Natalya continues to work very hard the way she has, and Tyson Kidd is in there, maybe they can suggest that Jim Neidhart gets to be in the Hall of Fame too. I think he definitely would be a great character to have in there. And when he was in the WWE, worked, or WWF, whatever, he worked very hard to always make sure he was serious and he didn't let his fans down. He loves his fans more than almost anyone.
Well, definitely. I agree with you 110%. What was it like seeing the Montreal Screw Job when you were younger, being in the Hart family? What were your thoughts, I guess, when it happened? Do you remember watching it on TV or seeing it? What were your thoughts maybe of when it happened?
I thought it was one of the saddest things that happened in wrestling. I think the whole thing was bad timing and accumulation of lack of communication on both parties. And I really wish it didn't happen, and caused a huge rift in wrestling. And I've said it in a couple interviews before. I think Bret and Shawn Michaels could have been a tremendous tag team. And I really would have loved to see Owen Hart and Bret team up, or maybe Owen and Shawn Michaels team up against Bret and Triple H. You never know. Like, there's some interesting combinations that people didn't think of. Or Bret and Stone Cold had a great match. I think Bret and The Rock would have had a great match. You have to remember, if this hadn't happened, then Bret would have been in there. And I think his legacy, because of the concussion, cut him short. I don't think he would have had that same concussion happen because he would have been protected. I think Goldberg's a great wrestler, but I think the WWE had just a certain level of safety and criteria where the WCW was a little more wide open, and that Bret was not comfortable there, especially not as comfortable as he was in the WWE. And with the loss of his brother and the stress of what had happened with Vince, I think was like a father figure for him for years. I don't think Bret was actually happy about what had happened with Vince. I don't think he wanted to hit him, and I think that whole thing was blown out of proportion, huge. And if Bret could go back in time and take it back, I think he probably would. And it definitely wasn't something good, and I was never thrilled. It cost me my career, I believe, that whole thing. Anything Teddy Hart ever did, I don't think was that bad. And if the families were getting along, I think it could have been overlooked, and they would have understood I was 18 years old trying to come into the wrestling business, and they would have found a different way of dealing with me personally, and probably Harry, or with Davey Boy Smith Jr., and same with Tyson Kidd and Natalia, and even Jack Evans, I think, was another guy that we all kind of got left aside because that caused such a rift with the family, and obviously with Owen dying and Chris Benoit being in there all by himself because he was part of the Hart Foundation, and he never got to really do anything with Bret in WWE because he came right after that whole thing had happened. So again, just without going on and on, I just think that was a tragic situation, and maybe one of the worst things that ever happened in wrestling.
Well, Teddy Hart, thank you so much. August 11th, Warriors of Wrestling, ESSpromotions.com. Where can the fans keep up with you these days on social media?
Teddy Hart is back on Twitter. Tweet to me and say hello, and if anyone has any booking opportunities for me, maybe you can give them a number. Eric Sims definitely helps me get bookings, so if anyone wants to get a hold of me, I'd love the work opportunity for sure. Sure,
we'd love to see you up here in the Northeast, Teddy. We can't wait for August 11th, and we thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
No problem. God bless you, my friend. Have a nice night.
All right, Cooter. We had a request on our social media, Facebook.com/Another Wrestling Podcast. We're all out there, AnotherWrestlingPodcast.com. Check us out, like us, subscribe.
Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me?
I do it just to get the fans to
Why are we listening to the fans? I mean, Vince doesn't listen to the fans. Why should I listen? Listen, we got to make Roman strong, pal. We're gonna put him in the main event every week, and this is what the fans are gonna like. I don't care what this guy wants to hear about.
People power, Cooter. People power.
All right, Johnny. I'm about to wish you your best in your future endeavors, but all right, let's go through this.
All right, so gimmick changes. We talked a little bit about a few weeks ago. I don't know what we were talking about, honestly, but somebody out there liked it enough to said that they would want a whole show dedicated to this. Now, we can't dedicate a whole show because I just don't have that time, but we're going to give you some gimmick changes now. Now, Cooter, basically, this whole premise, I'm going to say a wrestler, and you know who they are, or you know what they're doing now. All I want you to do is, like, what would you do different about them? What would you change about them to change up their gimmick a little bit, to maybe just to revamp them, if you will? Since we're on our way to 200, we're going to revamp Another Wrestling Podcast. Let's revamp some of these superstars, give them a little bit of a gimmick change, if you will. Right off the bat, Cooter, I'm going to throw a guy out here. Tell me what you would do different with Apollo Crews.
Why did you have to give me the black guy?
We don't no color.
All right, you might want to mark that one there because I don't want to end up like Hulk Hogan. All right.
the B guy, the B squad. What would you do different with Apollo Crews? Change up his gimmick.
I get him as far away from Titus as possible. That's one. Because, okay, I get the whole Titus worldwide thing. But, you know, Titus ain't doing you no favors. And Apollo had a nice win this week, you know.
I would make him the Ahmed Johnson in WWE. I would maybe make him Ahmed Johnson's son.
Do that. He's gonna get hurt every week then.
Make him Ahmed Johnson's son, little Ahmed. I don't know. That'd be cool. Going back.
I'd just go back to how he was on the Indies as Wuhan Nation, baby.
I know. It's like he had something good.
Like that gimmick, you know, and we tried to change him up, and we just turned him into a smiley bullshit artist on NXT that really didn't have any impressive wins on there. Yep. He's an incredible talent, but I mean...
wasted talent.
Yeah, we did nothing for him in terms of character development. We've done nothing to help get him over with the fans. The fans don't care about him. He needs to go with what worked. And I know Vince hates doing what worked for people outside of his company. It's like if it's not his creation. So what do we do for Apollo Crews? Oh, first off, we got to get him a mouthpiece. I would say, I don't want to say Teddy Long, but that's the first person that comes to mind.
You're just like Vince, keeping the colors with the colors. He does it. You guys know it's a fact. It's out there.
Do you think? Okay, I mean, you could see Apollo Crews as a Paul Heyman guy, because like when I think of Paul Heyman, I think of guys with like really bad attitudes and like somebody who's. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You say you want to put him with a mouthpiece. I say don't even give him any mouthpiece. He doesn't need to talk. They think that everybody needs to always talk, you know, and like that's the thing is like just have them talk in the ring. He's such an incredible athlete. Just let him wrestle. Just show him what he does, and then he can have like a little catchphrase he says at the end, and that's it. Like we don't need 15-minute, you know, speeches from him.
No, but I'm just saying, you know, when somebody's cutting a promo or some shit, because if he gets enough steam and we want to put a strap on him, yeah, you're going to have to get some words out of this guy's mouth. So I think we got to get somebody who's going to talk for him, or at least fucking I'd like to see what he could do as a heel, quite personally. I mean, I personally, my biggest gripe on Apollo Crews is the fact that all I see is teeth. Stop smiling, bro.
Stop smiling, bro.
You're like Jason Jordan. You're just happy to be here. You're an incredible talent. I want to see a guy with an edge. You know, maybe somebody's going to do some talking for him and just put this chip on his shoulder, because his career has been a bust in WWE. And we give him a mouthpiece. He sees something special in him and fucking puts a chip on his shoulder and turns him into a badass, dude. That's probably the best what you could do for him.
For sure. All right. Well, let's throw out somebody else. Who else could we change up? Give me somebody. Give me a gimmick I could change, if you will.
What do you do with Bray Wyatt?
Bray Wyatt. You know, I think his biggest downfall was losing to The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Not that it was his biggest downfall, but I mean, he had that supernatural gimmick, not like as, you know, in tune with The Undertaker, if you will, but I felt like he was kind of like the next Undertaker guy, to where he's coming out with the lights off, had his lantern, had that following with like a cult kind of music kind of thing. I would get him back to the grassroots of that with the Wyatt family. There was nothing wrong with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan as Wyatt family members. Making them the Bludgeon Brothers was stupid. Put him back in that factor of the Wyatt family. The Wyatt family was such a good stable. Now when it kind of got other people in it, but just those three, if you had those three together, keeping him the ringleader of the cult leader, hell, even add a Sister Abigail if you want, but just going back to that kind of, you know, get away from Broken Hardy and all that stuff, kind of get away from the silliness, go back to that creepy Southern, you know, new Phenom-esque character, to where, I'm not saying he was the Undertaker, but, you know, he had that kind of weird thing going on, and he's kind of broken out of that a little bit. To change him, though, I mean, I know that's kind of putting him back, but if you're going to really change him, It's probably the biggest thing you could probably do to Bray Wyatt is make him a face and make him like ridiculous to where he's almost borderline Elias, where he comes out with a fucking guitar or something and starts singing too, or a fucking harmonica. I don't know. To where if you want to go full ridiculous, you can kind of make him come out with a Hawaiian shirt and just be a.
If you're gonna come up with shit like this, I'm never letting you book our show again.
A total face.
A harmonica, bro.
Well, Elias has a guitar. He looks like I just looking at him right now. He looks like a guy that'd be playing a harmonica. I don't know. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If you go back one way, I'd make him back into like a little bit of a mini phenom. Or if you're gonna go full WWE Kevin Dunn shit, you're gonna give him like a Hawaiian shirt and a harmonica and fucking see what he could do with singing and dancing. But I don't know.
Be nice with your next pick, bro, because I was really for your first pick. It was gonna be David Otunga.
Oh my god.
But so be nice.
All right. How about a Dean Ambrose? He's been off TV for a while. If he came back a little bit repackaged, what would you do to him? What would you give him maybe to change it up a little bit? Because, I don't know. There's only so much of Dean Ambrose you can take, I guess.
I think him as a face has been a flop ever since they broke up the Shield. He had some moments that I thought were good, but that corny, stupid shit that he used to do, it just didn't work for me. That's a guy who, when he was with the Shield and was a heel and was pretty much their leader and was their mouthpiece. Seth Rollins was their, I don't want to say cleanup, because Roman was your cleanup guy he's the big guy who stood in the corner, and Seth was your flashy guy, and Dean was your mouthpiece and your badass. And I think he needs to go back to something along those lines. Have him come back to TV and punch his wife right in the mouth. How about that? How about we make him literally the biggest piece of shit, biggest heel ever? Let's have a Me Too moment in WWE where he just punches his wife. I'm not even kidding. Something really get him some serious heat, because I think if anybody could do it, it would be Dean Ambrose.
All right. Well,
I think he's that talented. I think he could pull off some fantastic, wife punching.
To go with his wife beater shirt. Okay.
Oh, see, now we've come full circle.
All right. Well, let's throw another pick in there. Give me somebody who I can really change around here. A little bit of a total makeover, if you will.
A total makeover.
Give me somebody.
All right. What do you do with the Good Brothers?
Easy enough. They're Sons of Anarchy to me. They kind of look almost like skinheads too, so you can't really go that full route with them. But
if we're gonna go from wife beating to American History X, this show is getting off the rails, Guido. Jesus.
For what they came in from the Bullet Club to what they're doing now, it's like, where are they? I feel like I haven't seen them. What's going on with them? So I feel like they need some kind of a heel movement for them. They don't need to be talking about nerds or anything like that. They just need to be fucking heels. Hell, I'd even give them some motorcycles. I'm talking Undertaker, his little group of guys. Remember the guys that always wrote out I can't think of those two.
That wasn't Undertaker. That was the DOA, the Cycles of Apocalypse. That was Crush's group.
Oh my goodness. I'm thinking Undertaker with the motorcycles. But yeah, those two guys, I can't even think of their names, but they kind of remind me of them. I'd slap some motorcycles on them, have them be more heels and less picking on nerds kind of a thing. But I think you can give the Good Brothers kind of a nice heel run. They deserve something nothing silly though.
God, this is our worst show. Our ideas so far is turn everybody heel.
All right,
literally.
Let's give our fan, a fan who wanted this, 2 more picks and we'll call it a night. But Cooter, I'm going to give you somebody you're going to have to totally change up for me.
Oh, I got one for you too. Go ahead.
All right, so last but not least. Actually, I'm going to skip around just to see if I see anybody else. Because right now we're on WWE.com/superstars. We're looking at all the whole superstar page of who we're picking and what we could do with them. So, what would you do with Asuka?
You don't need to do anything with Asuka.
Change her up. Give me something else. What would she do?
Oh, God. Why did you have to pick the Japanese person, you racist bastard?
I was trying to show
this
some
girl
good faith.
has had the best fucking run in fucking women's history, this awesome undefeated streak that we built her up. I mean, okay, and we wasted it on Charlotte Flair, but arguably still one of the greatest matches in the history of women's wrestling. But you want to change Asuka.
Okay. How about this? One of these two. I'm going to give you two to pick from. So now you have a choice. Okay. Your choices are Heath Slater or Jason Jordan. Give me a different gimmick for one of them.
Okay, Jason Jordan. That's easy. Instead of him being Kurt Angle's son, let's make him a cameraman. So we don't ever have to see him in front of the camera.
This is where the show needs to go. It's exactly what we need right there.
That makes me happy because I know how much you hate Jason Jordan. He's the original. Hey guys, I'm just happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Smile. Doesn't do anything.
Dad, please don't take my spot. This is a guy who, and his poor buddy Chad Gable. Like, they had this great run as a tag team out of nowhere. Reddy, Willie, and Gable.
Yeah.
You know,
perfect.
And great NXT tag champions for a cup of coffee, you know. And they come to the main roster. I think they might have won the belts for, like, another cup of coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you break them apart because SmackDown didn't do anything with them. And we decided to make him a bastard son of Kurt Angle. I think Jason Jordan needs to talk less and just do what because he's phenomenal to watch in the ring. I mean, we can go back where he had a great run of matches, whether he won them or not, with a Finn Balor, with a John Cena, with a Roman Reigns. That was the one Roman Reigns match of, like, I think that was last year that I actually rather enjoyed, believe it or not. But then, you know, Jason started talking and, you know, kind of ruined it for me. Jason is a great athlete. So we got to find a gimmick for him. And we know how much Vince McMahon loves gimmicks. And I'm telling you, we should just make him the cameraman. He should come down to the ring carrying a camera, like his name is Steve Credo. No, I don't know.
I love the cameraman gimmick. I love it. It would be good. Less of him on TV and behind the camera is what we need of Jason Jordan. I love it.
You really don't have any respect for him as an athlete, do you?
Nope.
You can't sit there and tell me you've never enjoyed a Jason Jordan match.
Okay, that's okay. You're right. I have enjoyed a Jason Jordan match when he was teaming with American Alpha. When Chad Gable would tag him in, so that I could see Chad Gable wrestle, not Jason Jordan. So I enjoyed his tag-ins to Chad
Gable. Wow, you are savage this week.
All right. Give me somebody. Last but not least, and this is a little bit of a gimmick change kind of thing to where we can just talk about wrestlers, what else we could do with them. Just a little something different. But who else do we have?
This one's easy. You're going to like this pick, too. And I should be a dick because you gave me Oscar or Jason Jordan. But you know what? I'm not good at character creating. I think I'm better at making, like, storyline scenarios. So this guy's going to be right up your alley.
All
Mike
right.
Kanellis.
Mike Kanellis.
See how his eyes, you wish I could see, his eyes just brightened up like, thank you, Cooter. You tossed me a softball, and I'm going to try to hit a home run. But guess what? Strike. Here it comes, boys.
As much as I loved, here's to the greatest, him and Maria, Mike Kanellis, or Mike Bennett, is an amazing athlete, let alone. The biggest gimmick change you could just give to him is not putting him with his wife anymore. Get rid of the Kanellis name, make him Mike Bennett, keep him as he is, because he's ridiculous. He has a lot of humor, a lot of comedy inside, but he's still an awesome wrestler if they allow him to wrestle and not just being, playing in the backstage area, if you will. But I would say get rid of the last name, get rid of the whole I'm Maria's husband gimmick, and just make him Mike Bennett again. Just let him do what he does. I think he's great at entertaining everybody. He's a great comedic wrestler. I actually saw him wrestle, believe it or not, Tommaso Ciampa in a slow motion match for Northeast Wrestling. They literally wrestled in slow motion for I forget how long it was. It was pretty good. They even threw potato chips on the ground to where the fans were chanting "Holy chip, holy chip," where he got tossed on potato chips. You know, he has something in store for the universe, and I think if you just let him loose and out of the backstage area, they can actually put good use to it. So I think make him more of a comedic guy, make him a little bit funny for what he was intended to be.
I would love for them to do that. So when he starts doing it, you just shit all over it because that's what you do. You make fun. You got to look at your own track record, dude.
I like to stir the pot. You
like to stir the pot so you have some shit to talk about in the next couple of weeks. Because whenever this comedic shit happens, you're the first person to shit all over it, especially with a Dean Ambrose. I mean, I remember an episode, something with popcorn, and you went on this rant for about like 10 minutes with me on the phone. And for all you people who don't understand Credo, you can call him on your cell phone and he will not pick up. But he will text you 60 times in a minute.
I will text you right back. I'm too busy. Things
but this was
fast.
The one time, yeah. He called me, which never happens. You know, and he went on this... Did you see this bullshit with fucking Dean Ambrose and the fucking popcorn? Like, seriously? We got a podcast to do. Can't they give us something better to work with? I'm like, they did. Because you should have saved this rant for the show, dude. Like, Credo, that's always been my one pet peeve of you. He will not pick up the phone. But, you know, and he'll be by himself in his truck. But no.
Usually I'm on a train, though, and I'm on the quiet car, and people will kill you if you talk on the phone. That's my one biggest downfall.
Funny, yeah, well, no, because literally, I know when you get off the train, so I'll call him. He'll be like, he won't pick up the phone while he's driving, but he will take the time to pick up his phone and text me and say, sorry, in the car driving. So you can text me while driving, but you can't talk to me while driving?
Oh, my goodness. I love it. I don't remember that whole Dean Ambrose.
Oh, God, that was my favorite rant ever because that was one of those days where I wish we had the ability to record phone calls with iPhones because it was just fucking hilarious.
I know.
I had tears in my eyes. I'm like, really? So I talk to you once a week, and it's usually on this podcast. And the one time you talk to me, you bitch for 10 minutes about Dean Ambrose. Yeah.
Well, there you go. A little bit of some gimmick changes, a lot of other stuff, guys. We gave it a shot, and that's what you get. Kuda, we're on our way to 200 episodes. It's happening. Who's going to be left within these 200 episodes? We'll see what happens. But guys, stay tuned to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. How about the Angry Mom? Where's she been?
Huh?
How about the Angry Mom? Where's she been?
She's on vacation. She goes, and that'll be the funny shit because last week she goes, I'm ready. Ready for what? Well, aren't you recording the podcast this week? No. You know, Credo's on vacation. And then the week before I was away, so we didn't record. What do you mean you're going away? I'm going on vacation. So now we're recording, and she's on vacation, and she's going to come back. It's like, Mom, where were you, bitch? You know, we finally do a show, and you decide you're going to go on vacation?
There you go. Well, stay tuned, everybody, because we have a lot more podcasts to give you, I guess.
That's right, bitches. Now, have a great week. I'm going to go take a shit.
The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at it.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
These are the best in the world, brother. These are the best at what they do.
When we talk about the legends of the sport, there's only two in my book.
Another wrestling podcast.
Another wrestling podcast. Now can you dig that, sucker?